You know what I like most about superheroes? It's that they can fly. We can also fly, and I feel blessed that we live in an era where airplanes exist. But as a scientist, I feel awkward that I cannot live this lifestyle that I would like to, and I cannot go to places because I know the impacts of it. And I don't think most people know about it or know how to act about it. So today I'm going to talk about CORSIA. CORSIA is an initiative for international carbon offsetting for our international flights. It is led by ICAO, which is our main client here. ICAO is a branch of the UN. It's the International Civil Aviation Organization, and it deals with international regulations. What most people don't know is that aviation, international aviation, is not part of the Kyoto Protocol or the Paris Agreement. And the reason for that is mainly because it's very hard to attribute responsibility to a single member state or country when it's dealing with international flights. We don't know if it's the origin or the destination, or if it's the original country where the airline belongs. So ICAO is leading a sectoral initiative to deal with those emissions. It has established a target in 2010, and the target is to be carbon neutral from 2020 onwards. And this is not an easy thing to do in aviation, mainly because it's already a very, very effective industry. Being effective is part of its business because it has to be lucrative. So there's very little room for improvement in terms of reducing emissions. So a possible solution is, in fact, carbon offsetting, which is basically buying carbon credits from different markets. We have two options mainly, either planting trees and increasing carbon sequestration, or just buying credits from different projects that reduce emissions, such as shifting from non-renewable resource energy to wind or hydropower. So what happens is that most people don't even know anything about this initiative, and it is the second largest initiative related to climate change after Paris. And then to help this take off, pun intended, we thought, how can we, in fact, help them implement this project if people aren't even aware of it? So we developed a media campaign for that. The first thing we did was to think of our stakeholders. Who has the power and the interest to help this take off? And most of all, who has the power but is not interested or has the power to really sink the project? And in our mind, it is the passengers. The reason being, because it's not part of Paris Agreement or the Kyoto Protocol, international aviation is not eligible for funding. It's not eligible for any of the funding mechanisms under the UNFCCC mechanisms. So basically, how can we help this project really become a real initiative if we don't have access to funding and we have to engage the passengers to be part of it? This is it. And now I pass on to my colleague.
Now I'm going to be talking about stakeholder attitudes, which basically means you. So according to the 2016 Global Passenger Survey by the International Air Transport Association, most international passengers ascribe high value to entertainment and comfort. In terms of in-flight services, passengers under 24 years old, such as myself and Elsa and Meghana here, ascribe the highest value, surprisingly, to in-flight Wi-Fi. Well, now I sort of understand, because as a millennial, this basically means being able to binge watch Stranger Things on Netflix or probably Instagram each and every cloud you chance upon on your way to your destination. Meanwhile, those who are 45 years old and above places high value on attentive cabin crew members. It is also apparent in the report that they respond positively to incentives. Now, this knowledge of our stakeholders inform our media campaign strategy. And we would like to call this strategy Fly with Care. So that is capital C-A-R-E, where C stands for conduct widespread promotion, A for award free trips, R for render flight incentives, and E for entertain and educate. So the primary objective of the campaign is to engage stakeholders to voluntary carbon offsetting. Now, I and my friend Miguel will go through each of the strategies one by one, and I will begin with the first one, conducting widespread promotion. So as part of this strategy, what we plan to do is to conduct airport-to-airport campaigns about the importance of CORSIA's work and offsetting carbon emissions. This would be done by constructing booths inside airports where brochures and other information materials would be distributed. There would also be raffle draws in which winners will receive free flight tickets to selected countries. So who doesn't want free flights, right? Our team also plans to conduct a massive social media campaign. The main message would call for the saving of low-lying islands, specifically by offsetting carbon emissions. Like, a lot of young people nowadays like to travel, but how can we travel to Maldives or Tuvalu, for instance, if in the future it doesn't exist anymore? So the campaign would make use of Facebook and Instagram as a primary medium as it targets a younger group of audience. This leads me to my next strategy, our next strategy, which is award-free trips. This is basically a contest through social media. For the mechanics, what we intend to do is to have people post their travel photos with a caption answering the question, why is offsetting carbon emissions important in saving the planet? So the contestants are going to be using the hashtags CORSIA and Be a Hero in their entries. Then we will be selecting the best caption that would most resonate to the campaign's targets. So the winner of the contest will receive an all-expenses paid trip to a small island vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So aside from having a relaxing time, winners would be required to join an environmental trip. Afterwards, they would be tasked to write a brief reflection about their experiences of the trip, which will be published to CORSIA's website on other social media platforms. Number 3, which is R, is render flight incentives. Now, for the third strategy, we are going to provide incentives to passengers who would be willing to pay their offset emission fees. Now, can you guess which in-flight service most people about my age are crazy about, apparently, but which would not incur much additional cost to the airlines? I just mentioned it earlier. Wi-Fi. Yes, exactly, free Wi-Fi. So that's right. People who pay their offset fees automatically gets free Wi-Fi service on board. Now, paying the offset fees may also be done through miles and points. This gives more encouragement for people to actually pay their offset fees. So Miguel here is going to present the fourth and last strategy, which is about entertaining and educating.
So thank you very much, Paolo. Well, the fourth step on our strategy is called entertain and educate. Now we thought, what's the best way to engage our audience? Well, celebrities, right? Who doesn't like the celebrities talking about the importance of the environment? Who doesn't like Ben Affleck talking to you about the importance of the environment? Especially because it's not only a celebrity or a superstar, it's a superstar that plays a superhero, right? Now, we want these celebrities to engage in our campaign, to participate actively in our social media, to give talks, and most importantly, to explain our audience the benefits and the importance of offsetting their carbon emissions. Why is this so important? Well, as Julia explained already, there is no funding or no financing for international aviation. That's why it's so important that customers understand that it's up to them for this project to thrive. This is why we are planning on having a bottoms-up strategy consisting on tackling the customers. Now, we thought, how do we narrow our strategy to really focus on our customers? Well, with an on-flight video, right? But stop there. I know what you're thinking. Another on-flight video in my flight? Wait, before you discard the idea, we prepared something for you. We had to make some calls. We had to pull some levers in this short notice, but we came up with something a little rough on the edges, but we hope you enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Ben Affleck. I'm flying to the Bahamas. Hi, I'm Henry Cavill. I'm flying to the Bahamas. I suppose, I don't know. Aviation generates a considerable amount of the global emissions. By compensating them, we can prevent global warming and sea level rise, which is one of the major threats of Paradise Island like the Bahamas. By compensating the emissions I generated on this flight, I got benefits like extra miles and full Wi-Fi coverage during the whole flight. And you also become eligible for upgrades if available. You can do it just now. Carbon compensation can be done with miles, or even by using this currency that you won't be using anymore. Just call one of the airline's crew members and they will gladly guide you. Wait, what? Thank you for your interest in compensating your carbon emissions, because not everyone can fly emissions-free, like Superman does.
Well, what do you think? You like it? Finally, to close, I would like to add a message. Now, so not everybody can be a hero, right? Not everybody can fly, but you can save the planet with a triple C, which consists on being conscious, having consciousness, and being committed. So, not all superheroes wear capes, but fly with care, please. Thank you very much.